You might know I was traveling in Costa Rica when the pandemic hit the world. I was traveling during work exchanges and they stopped accepting people because of the fear and the economical crisis that was ahead. Luckily, I had met an angel my first week there and she invited me to stay at her house for the rest of my trip. So I spent my lockdown at Cadence while trying to figure out how I was gonna get back home. It's Anna, and this is the story of how I got stuck in Costa Rica and then escaped during the lockdown.
Hay un nuevo coronavirus.
If you watched my last video, you would know it ended on the 23rd of May. However, I'm gonna take you back some months and tell you about the whole story in detail. I found out about Covid-19 even before leaving my country, but not much people were talking about it. And I felt like the people who were talking about it were like overreacting. I felt like it was just like any other flu. How naive. Anyway, on the 22nd of February, I got on my flight and I left to Costa Rica. People started talking more and more about it, but I still wasn't concerned because there weren't any cases in Costa Rica that I knew of. 9th of March 2020. It was my birthday and we decided to go to the beach. We were driving there and we turned on the radio, and that's how I found out about the first 3 cases in the country. I still wasn't concerned, so I kept on traveling. I left my work away, spent the weekend in Tamarindabutita, and on the 16th of March I took a bus to Karen's place. Karen and I had met on the beach my first week, and she had invited me to spend some days at her house. The day I got to her house was when the social worry truly happened in Costa Rica, and it was crazy because like things started to shut down, businesses, national parks, beaches, and for me it was so weird because it was so sudden. Maybe because I was coming from more of a laid-back area and I was going to the center of the country where most of the people lived, but I don't know, for me it felt very sudden. Anyway, Karen and I were spending our days together safely while I was looking for a new work exchange. The one I was going to go to had failed me, and there was some moments that popped up, but they said no last minute. So I was like really worried because I was struggling on a really tight budget. Like I couldn't just book a hostel and pay for my own food. I needed a volunteer place. Karen and her family noticed that I was really worried about this, and they told me that I could stay with them for the rest of my trip, which was so like relieving and incredible because they hadn't even known me for a month when they told me, and they were inviting me into their homes for a month and a half more without really knowing me, knowing that I'd been traveling for a month and we were in the middle of a pandemic. So like I couldn't believe it. I don't even know how to express how grateful I am. But thank you so much. From then on, Karen and I spent our isolation in the finca we were living in. My family lived in another house, so it was just us. We would explore the jungle, have fun with the animals, and hike to the waterfall. We started bonding a lot because we were together 24/7. We kind of became sisters. I was still in contact with the volunteer friends I had met on my workaway, and they all slowly took planes to their home. I didn't think about shortening my trip until Zita decided to leave. Cheo, Lauhi, Elisa, and Mahi had left before her. But when she left, I started to think about what I would do, knowing that I didn't have much money left and didn't know how the living situation would be. I was genuinely happy spending time with Karen and I didn't want to shorten my trip, but I felt like it was the responsible thing to do. My flight back was on the 7th of May and I knew it would get cancelled, so I called the Spanish embassy to check if they would send a plane to repatriate their citizens, but they told me that if they would, the flight would be around 900 euros. When I looked at commercial flights, I saw that they were way out of my budget, and I started looking for other options, like calling United and the website I booked my tickets through. However, due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the website stopped their phone communication. And they wouldn't answer my email, so it was so frustrating. Really frustrating. Budget Air is the website I had used, and I'm sure that they were doing the best they could with the large amount of work that they had, but they didn't satisfy my needs. Like, they were not answering phones or emails, and they asked United Airlines to refund my flight. And I don't want the refund, I just want the flight later on. I didn't want a refund because the flight I booked was cheap, and if I had gotten that refund and then tried to book another flight in the middle of a pandemic, I wouldn't be able to book it anyway because flights in the middle of a pandemic, especially during peak time, are really expensive. and I was scared that if they gave me a refund, I wouldn't be able to give it back and get another flight.
No creo que le hayan a hacer ningún tipo de cobro. Ellos no tienen el cambio para cuando haya disponibilidad y usted le funciona, ¿verdad?
Okay, pues muchas gracias. They told me responsibility on giving another ticket relies on the website, but as they were not answering any of my emails, I was giving another United phone number where they would be able to help me.
Pase una buena tarde y cualquier cosa ahí nos vuelve a escribir.
Que tengan buen día, gracias por todo. I was on more calls with the Spanish embassy and I notified them that I wanted to go back to Catalonia.
Le hablo de la embajada de España.
Hola, dígame.
Buenas noches, Ana. Mi nombre es Irene. ¿Cómo le va?
Muy bien, ¿y usted?
Muy bien, muchas gracias. Estamos haciendo un seguimiento de los ciudadanos que están acá como turistas. Caso de una amiga, pero que estás interesada en regresando a Argentina. Para que tengamos información de algún vuelo directo hacia Madrid, ¿estarías interesada en que se te avise o...?
Muchas gracias.
Bueno, con mucho gusto.
Chao, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
On the 28th of March, Spain sent a flight to Costa Rica, but as it was out of my budget, I didn't take it. I was in calls with United for days. 8 days left until my original flight back. I don't have a flight because it's cancelled.
What date are you trying to fly?
Whenever you start flying again.
Okay, one second.
Llego desde Costa Rica a Barcelona, me da igual. They are not flying to Barcelona until November.
Para participar en la encuesta inmediatamente después de concluir su llamada con United, por favor, presione 1.
Pues no presioné nada. Me colgaron más, ¿eh? At first I was told I wasn't able to change my flights.
Y yo no lo puedo cambiar.
Then I was told I could, but it would take a while. I thought all of this was sorted, but apparently it's not. I was given flights and then got them cancelled the next day. She said there's no flights until July.
Okay, one second. Let me put you. The first date available that I'm showing it will be not until. Thank you so much for holding. What is your email address?
Thank you so much. I know it's hard times for airlines.
Okay, it's ready, okay? So we'll send you an email with all the information.
I had a special ticket because I had booked it through a website and not through United. So she changed my ticket to a United ticket. But this is still for the 7th of May, and I don't think they're flying on the 7th of May. Everything was very uncertain and it was a bit worrying sometimes, but not really, because I felt safe with Karen and I was having a lot of fun with her. I was doing the flight process because I felt like it was the responsible thing to do, but I really did not want to leave Costa Rica. I felt like I was part of Karen's family and that made me feel so at home, but the calls kept on going. I do not understand. I think I'm gonna call it again.
Gracias por llamar a United Airlines.
That day I got assigned a flight itinerary for the 5th of June. I have a flight back and I know the date. What? It's still not confirmed, but oh my gosh. I will go back home. In a way, I don't want to go back home. Because I do, but like, I love this place. But it's great that it gives me peace of mind and I'm too excited right now. I don't know how I feel. I was happy to have some kind of reassurance that I would have a way to go back to Catalonia, but at the same time I was super sad to leave Karen, her family, and Costa Rica. You know, I guess I'll talk to you later because I don't know how I feel and I'm like super energetic, but I don't know how to use it for good or for bad because thank you, United. You've been really nice. Maybe you want to hire me as a flight attendant. As Costa Rica was still in lockdown, it was going to be the day of my flight. Karen, Annie, Dorena and I thought my flight would get delayed for at least like half a month or so. However, I did want to make the best of my time there, so I decided to visit some friends I made in Tamarindo. I spent like 4 days there. I enjoyed the beach, had fun with them, and I met up with Constantine, a guy who had volunteered with me in my first weeks in the country. As you can see, there's nearly no one in the beach, just those people that are getting the boat, and then the whole Tamarindo beach is empty. We can only be here from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. so people are following the rules. When I went back flight accounts, I got an email saying that one of my flights had been cancelled. I have 3 flights on the 5th and one of them was cancelled. And they had suggested me a new itinerary, so I called United again.
I'm not finding anything available.
You can change the date, it's fine. I'm going to Houston and then what?
Okay, and then you're going to take the flight from Houston to Washington, Frankfurt, Barcelona on the 6th, arriving on the 7th.
I've been on the call for more than an hour. Thank you so much.
Alright.
Have a good day.
You too, bye-bye.
Gotta give her a 10 out of 10.
Thank you, bye-bye.
She was still listening. So the lady changed my flights. I was now going to take 4 flights and the whole itinerary would be 44 hours. After this trip, everything else is gonna be way easier. Cause like, what can be harder than a 44-hour flight? The flight changes were completely free and I obviously really appreciate that. Everyone I talked to on the phone was really nice and understanding, and I imagine that job must be really difficult in big pandemic times when everyone's angry or sad and they just want to get back home. I know this might sound like an ad, but it's not. I will fly United again. As everything had been so uncertain until that moment, I hadn't been aware I was actually leaving Costa Rica soon. And after that call was when I realized that I only had a week left and I needed to make the best of it. I don't know if I'll put my last week in Costa Rica in this video or in the next one. But spoiler alert, I did get on my flight on the 5th of June and it didn't get delayed or anything. So there will be a whole other video of my 44-hour trip. Taking 4 flights, spending 20 hours in Houston in the middle of the pandemic. So subscribe if you don't miss out on that. I think it's right here. And leave a comment down below telling me how you dealt with uncertainty during this pandemic times, because I really had a hard time, but I learned a lot. So see you next week. Bye!